Hello and welcome. Have you ever filled out a form online? Maybe creating a new account and you hit submit only for the form to tell you, sorry, your password isn't long enough. You try again and it tells you the same thing. It keeps asking you to fix it until you get it right. That until is one of the most powerful ideas in programming. It's the ability to make a computer repeat a task over and over again, not for a fixed number of times, but while a certain condition is true. This is the job of a loop. Today, we're going to master one of the most fundamental loops in JavaScript, the while loop. Think of it like this. You're building a security gate. You don't want to tell the gate, check for a password 5 times. What if the person gets it right on the first try? Or what if they need 10 tries? A fixed number is not very smart. Instead, you give the gate a rule. Keep the gate closed and keep asking for the password while the correct password has not been entered. As soon as the correct password is provided, the condition the correct password has not been entered is no longer true, and the gate automatically opens. It doesn't need to know in advance how many attempts it will take. It just follows the rule. That right there is the entire concept behind the while loop. It's a simple but powerful instruction that tells the computer to repeat a block of code as long as a certain condition remains true. Ready to build smarter programs? Let's get started. Alright, let's write some practical code. Our first task is to build a simple but very common feature, a password entry prompt that won't accept the password until it meets a minimum length requirement. A while loop has 3 essential ingredients. If you can remember these 3 parts, you can build any while loop you want. They are the initialization, the condition, and the updater. Build our password validator using this 3-part framework. Before our loop can begin, we need a place to store the user's input. We need to create a variable that will hold the password they type in. This is our starting point, our setup. In programming, we call this initialization. Let's initialize our variable as an empty string. This is important, as you'll see in a moment, okay? So I write let user password equals to just double quotes without any characters, not even a space, just empty string. Semicolon. Perfect, we created a variable named user password and set its initial value to an empty piece of text. The scene is set, okay? Now for the core of our validator, the rule itself. What is our rule? We want to keep prompting the user for a password while the password they've given us is less than 8 characters long. As soon as they enter a password that is 8 characters or longer, we stop. That's our condition. Let's write the structure of the while loop. So I write while, set of parentheses, and here I need to put my condition. So my condition is user password dot length less than 8. And next, a set of curly braces. Let's break this down. The while keyword signals the start of a loop. The rule, our condition, goes inside the parentheses, which is user password.length less than 8. The computer will check this condition and ask itself, is the length of the string in the user password variable less than 8? The first time it checks, user password is an empty string. Its length is 0. Is 0 less than 8? Yes, it's true. So the computer will execute the code we put inside the curly braces. If the condition were false, it would skip the curly braces entirely. This check happens before every single repetition of the loop. Okay, so we have our setup and our rule. Now, what happens inside the loop? What is the repetitive action? We need to ask the user to enter a password. And this is the brilliant part. The act of asking the user for a new password also serves as our updater. The updater is the code that changes our initial variable, pushing it closer and closer to making the condition false. When the user types in a new password, we will update the user password variable with their new input. Let's add the code for this inside the curly braces using the built-in prompt function. So I write user password equals to prompt set of parentheses, and inside it I write double quotes, please create a password. And inside the parentheses I write must be at least 8 characters long. And colon and semicolon. This single line is doing double duty. It's our action prompting the user, and our updater assigning the new input to user password. Let's trace the computer's logic. It says let user password equals to an empty string. The length is 0. It reaches the while loop. It checks the condition. Is 0 less than 8? Yes, it's true. And enters the loop. A prompt box appears asking for password. Let's say the user types pass and hits OK. The user password variable is now updated to pass. The loop finishes its first run and jumps back up to the condition. It checks again. Is the length of pass, which is 4, less than 8? Yes, it's true. It enters the loop again. The prompt appears again. This continues until the user finally types something like password 123 or anything above 7 characters. The loop jumps back up and checks condition 1 last time. Is the length of password 123, which is 11, less than 8? No, it's false. The loop is now finished. The computer skips the code in the curly braces and moves on. Let's add a final alert after the loop to confirm that we've succeeded. So I write alert, set of parentheses, double quotes, thank you. Your password has been accepted. Semicolon. And if I run it, it asks me to enter a password. So I try with something less than 8 characters. It keeps asking something else. Again. And if I write password 123, it accepted and said, thank you, your password has been accepted. Now the while loop is powerful because it can run for an unknown number of times. But that power comes with a very specific risk, the infinite loop. An infinite loop is a loop whose condition never becomes false. It's a glitch that will run forever, often freezing your program or web browser. It's the most common mistake beginners make with while loops. So it's crucial that you understand why it happens. Let's go back to our password validator. What if you made a small logical error? What if you asked for the password before the loop started, but forgot to ask for it again inside the loop? Let's intentionally break our code. Let me place this code here. And inside it, okay. Now a word of warning. If you run this code and enter a short password like ABC, your browser tab will likely freeze. You'll probably need to close the tab to stop it. This is an infinite loop in action. Okay, I'm going to run it and type ABC. Okay. The console rapidly fills with password is too short. See, it's just printing forever and my browser is completely stuck. So I'm going to close this tab to put it out of its misery, okay? Whew. Okay, so why did that happen? The program prompted me once. I entered ABC. The variable username was set to ABC. The loop then checked the condition. Is the length of ABC, which is 3, less than 8? Yes, it's true. So it entered the loop and printed the message. But then what? We never updated the user password variable inside the loop. So it looped back and checked the condition again. Is the length of ABC less than 8? Yes. It always be yes. The condition was permanently true, and the loop had no way to escape. So, whenever your program freezes, the very first thing you should spec is an infinite loop. And the first thing you should check is your updater. Did you forget it? Is it not changing the variable correctly? This simple check will save you hours of frustration. Now let me go back to the initial listing. Okay, now the while loop is fantastic, but it has a close relative called the do while loop. They are very similar, but with one critical difference. The while loop is cautious. It checks the condition before it ever runs its code. If the condition is false from the start, the loop's code will never run, not even once. A do while loop is a do first, ask questions later kind of loop. It performs the action once, guaranteed. Then, after it has already run the code once, it checks the condition at the end to see if it should do it again or not. So, when would you use this? Think about our password validator. To get our while loop to work, we had to initialize user password to an empty string, just to trick the loop into running the first time. It works, but it's a little bit of workaround. But what is the one thing we know for sure about the password validator? The user has to enter a password at least once. The action of prompting the user must happen once, guaranteed. This is the perfect job for a do while loop. Let's refactor our validator to use it. The change is small, but it makes our code's intention much clearer. We're going to move the while part to the end and put a do at the beginning. Let's write it again. Okay, let user password semicolon. Notice we don't need to initialize it anymore. Next, I write do set of curly braces, and inside it I write user password equals to prompt. Please create a password. Must be at least 8 characters long. And after the last curly, I write while set of parentheses user password dot length less than 8 semicolon. Look at how clean that is. Notice two things. First, the while is now at the very end with a semicolon after it. Second, we no longer need to initialize user password to a fake empty value. We can just declare the variable. Why? Because the do block is guaranteed to run once. The user will prompt it for a password, and the user password variable will get the real value before the while condition is ever checked for the first time. Now if I run it and enter some values, it works perfectly, but this is more elegant. And importantly, it communicates our intent better. When another programmer reads a do while loop, it sends a clear message. The author of this code intended for this block to execute at least one time. Using the right tool for the job is the hallmark of a professional programmer. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this tutorial helpful and learned something valuable, please do me a favor and hit that like button. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for more practical coding tutorials. Happy coding!